the tennis world was holding its breath. Alex Eala, the 21-year-old Filipina sensation, was one match away from history. She had already conquered Olympic gold medalists, defending champions, and four-time Grand Slam winners. Now, she stood on the brink of her first World Tour title and a career-high ranking of World No. 20. But then, the sky opened. The Mubadala DC Open final between Eala and World No. 3 Jessica Pegula was originally scheduled to begin at 12 p.m. local time on Sunday. Due to scattered thunderstorms, the players didn't step onto the court until approximately 3 p.m. The match finally began. Pegula took the first set 6-4. Eala responded by taking the first game of the second set and built a 2-1 lead. And then, the rain returned. The precipitation resumed at 3:57 p.m., forcing the players off the court. They waited. And waited. The rain didn't stop. Multiple attempts to dry the court were thwarted by the persistent drizzle. At 9:06 p.m., the tournament officially postponed the match for the day. What happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. The tournament organizers announced that Sunday tickets would be honored for Monday's finals. But they also did something unprecedented. They released an additional 1,000 tickets for fans eager to witness the conclusion of the match. The demand was so intense that thousands of fans were left without seats, and the tournament reportedly raked in millions. The Eala fever had taken over Washington. The tennis world was watching. And the Philippines was waiting. The suspension of the final wasn't just a weather delay. It was a catalyst that unleashed something extraordinary. Filipino fans, who had already transformed the DC Open into a home event for Eala, now had a second chance to witness history. The tournament's decision to offer an additional 1,000 tickets for the rescheduled final sent fans into a frenzy. Sunday tickets will be honored for Monday's finals, the organizers announced. We are also offering an additional 1,000 tickets for tennis fans to come and watch the matches to provide the best atmosphere possible. The announcement was met with an immediate rush. Fans lined up for hours, desperate to secure a seat for what had become the most anticipated match of the tournament. The Eala fever that had been building all week had reached its peak. The tournament had already broken attendance records, selling out morning and afternoon sessions for 6 consecutive years. But the additional ticket release and the massive demand highlighted the economic impact of the Eala phenomenon. The DC Open's 2022 economic impact study showed that the tournament generated over 25 million in gross impact, with visitor spending exceeding 7 million. The suspension-driven ticket rush likely added significantly to those figures. The ticket rush triggered by the suspension was just the latest chapter in the Eala mania phenomenon that had swept the tennis world. Former pros had already weighed in on the phenomenon. John Isner, Sam Querrey, and Steve Johnson discussed it on the Nothing Major podcast. Querrey asked the question everyone was thinking: is she the biggest draw in women's tennis right now? In the world? Is she bigger than Sabalenka? Is she bigger than Coco? Johnson didn't hesitate. Yes. Dude, it's crazy, he replied. The ticket rush in Washington was proof of that claim. Fans from across the East Coast had come to see their hero. They had packed the stands, waved Philippine flags, and chanted her name. Now, with the match suspended, they were willing to do it all over again. Naomi Osaka, who had faced Eala in the semifinals, had already acknowledged the unique atmosphere that Eala creates. I remember watching one of her matches last year at the US Open, and it was kind of mind-blowing, Osaka said. I didn't think tennis could have an atmosphere like that. It almost felt more like a basketball game. The phenomenon wasn't limited to Washington. At the Australian Open, Eala's first-round match had to be moved because fans overwhelmed the outside courts. Thousands of Filipinos traveled from across Australia, carrying flags and wearing custom jerseys, just to catch a glimpse of their hero. Security had to turn people away. The suspended final carried enormous stakes for both players. For Eala, a victory would give her first World Tour title, a career-high ranking of World No. 20, and a 252,000 approximately 15.4 million payday. She had already guaranteed herself a new career-high ranking of World No. 24 by reaching the final. A win would vault her into the top 20. I'm more well-rounded now. I think I'm physically a little better, Eala said of her growth since Miami, citing improvements in her serve, strokes and pace. For Pegula, a victory would give her her second DC Open title and her 12th UTA Tour title overall. The American was the top seed and the favorite. She had beaten Eala in the Miami Open semifinals just over a year ago. She knew what it took to win the biggest matches. The rain delay had disrupted the rhythm of the match. Pegula had the momentum after taking the first set. But Eala had just held her opening 2 service games in the second set and was looking increasingly comfortable. The overnight break could change everything. Despite the rain, the fans refused to leave. Filipino supporters had come from across the East Coast. They had traveled from Maryland, from Virginia, from all across the region. They had waited for hours in the rain. They had waved Philippine flags and chanted Eala's name. They had believed in their hero. The ticket rush triggered by the suspension was a testament to their dedication. They had already watched Eala's historic run, the victory over Thing Kinwan, the comeback against Fernandez, the dismantling of Svitolina, the domination of Osaka. They weren't going to miss the final. Eala herself had spoken about the weight of representing her nation. I still have so much motivation to become a better player and become a better person. I'm only 21, so it's not like I'm the queen of the world or anything, Eala said after dispatching Osaka. The fans in Washington were proof that her impact was real. They had come to see history. And they were determined to see it through. The suspended final was more than just a tennis match. It was a moment that would define Eala's career. A victory would cement her place among the world's elite. It would prove that her Wimbledon run was not a fluke. It would show that she could win on any surface. Win or lose, the 21-year-old Filipina is assured of a new career-high ranking and one of the biggest paydays of her young career. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to the biggest stages in the world. From a 13-year-old girl alone in Spain to a national hero celebrated by presidents and adored by millions. From being told she couldn't do it to standing on the brink of history. Eala had defied every expectation. And the ticket rush triggered by the suspension was proof that the world had taken notice. The match resumed on Monday. Eala had a chance to finish the job. A chance to make history. A chance to bring the title home. Leben lang. Always. And remember, on RallyVerse, we bring you the stories that define the sport, the drama, the suspense, the moments that change everything. Stay tuned for more.